into itself, but it does have a backup system in the event that stress does become chronic. But the purpose of stress is for fight or flight. It's a very fleeting state where the body instantaneously prepares to fight or flee from imminent danger. It's a survival mechanism. Today, the trouble is that stress never seems to take a break. So modern lifestyles cause ongoing stress. And also the toxins in our atmosphere are an ongoing stress to the body. So this causes excessive cortisol over extended periods of time. In fact, many or even most of us are in chronic fight or flight mode, which is evident in biofeedback data collected by the Institute of HeartMath. We have to train ourselves back into a calm state from a fight or flight default state much of the time. So chronic stress is being linked to an increasing number of diseases: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, thyroid disease, and more. Chronic stress causes significant imbalance in the body, not just in hormones, but also in nutrients. TCM teaches us that the body is a connected whole, intimately part of its environment, and largely, if not entirely, made of energy, not really matter or physical things. The quantum physicists and ancient traditions tell us that only about 4% of the universe is physical matter. TCM understands this and applies it. TCM is based on the balance of the energies of yin and yang. And these are very profound concepts which describe the concept of duality that we experience in a three-dimensional universe. So concepts like day and night, hot and cold, male and female are yin and yang concepts. They're not just opposites. They actually feed each other, control each other, and become each other. So estrogen would be yang as compared to progesterone, which is yin. Cortisol would be yang when compared to DHEA, which is relatively yin. So this hormone balance is critical to body function and follows very similar principles of yin and yang. TCM is based on the maintenance of balance in the universe and in the body, and is a powerful preventive tool. Conventional medicine sees the body largely as a machine with parts that either work or don't work. It's based in the early diagnosis of disease and its treatment. So HRT is not high on the list for disease treatment, and not much attention has been paid to hormone replacement therapy. In certain cases, however, we absolutely must look at hormones as a preventive tool to prevent diseases. I had a new patient this week who lives a very healthy lifestyle. She eats right, exercises, does yoga, and she takes bioidentical hormones prescribed elsewhere. She just came in this week and has a history of very dense breasts, and her mammograms have been progressively worsening over time, culminating in the recommendation for a biopsy recently. The biopsy showed no cancer, but it was at a stage just before cancer. So her doctor asked her to stop taking her hormones. She tried to comply, but felt awful off of her hormones. She had horrible hot flashes, night sweats. She couldn't sleep. She was extremely irritable and exhausted. So she started taking them again and felt trapped and came to see me at someone's recommendation. My preliminary evaluation of her revealed that her hormones may actually be protecting her breasts from an underlying metabolic catastrophe that's increasing her risk of cancer. The idea that she couldn't function without her hormones strongly suggests metabolic issues that run fairly deep. Sure enough, she related a very stressful lifestyle prior to her retirement. It seems her body has not been able to recover function on its own, despite a healthy lifestyle. We'll be checking her hormone levels and looking further into her metabolism to find out what's really increasing her risk. But it's critical to give serious consideration to the idea that taking bioidentical hormones may actually have protected her from cancer, despite her mammogram worsening over time. We tend to make this assumption that hormones cause cancer, but we have to really pause and look at how we're discussing hormones. Are we discussing synthetic hormones? Are we discussing bioidentical hormones because there's a drastic difference between the two. If we're discussing synthetic hormones, the answer is yes, there's a clear increased risk of cancer. This woman, however, is not taking synthetic hormones. She's taking bioidentical hormones. The data on bioidentical hormones is equally clear. It actually reduces the risk of breast cancer. So in her case, I had to introduce the idea that she may actually be being protected by her bioidentical hormones. And her bioidentical hormones may have actually given her some time to really look deeper into the body at what is wrong metabolically that is actually increasing her risk of cancer. And what I suspect in this case is that she has a gastrointestinal condition because that's what our TCM evaluation indicates. Now, mind you, she has no gastrointestinal symptoms because she eats so well. But I feel fairly strongly that because TCM is telling me she does have a gastrointestinal issue, that she does. And so we are going to investigate that further, and I'm fairly certain that we will find some gastrointestinal issues causing some pretty drastic metabolic disturbances that will correct. So the studies on bioidentical hormones are very favorable for the prevention of breast cancer. That's clear. Yale University released a study in 2014, which was a follow-up to the Women's Health Initiative study. Remember, the Women's Health Initiative study is that study on the fake hormones that was stopped prematurely at 4 years due to the alarming risk of breast cancer and stroke in the study population. What Yale did is look at the particular group of women who had hysterectomies and were on a very particular hormone called Premarin, which is a metabolite of horse urine estrogen, prescribed to millions of women in the United States. Yale did a kind of where are they now survey of these women who stopped their estrogen replacement therapy following this study. What they found was shocking. They extrapolated that somewhere between 18,000 to 90,000, that's 90,000, that's 5 to 24 patients per day, are dying because they are not taking hormone replacement therapy after hysterectomy. So again, what they found was somewhere between 18,000 to 90,000 women are dying every decade because they are not taking hormone replacement therapy after hysterectomy. That's 5 to 24 patients a day. That's shocking. So in other words, women not taking hormones are at a very increased risk of death. And what they're dying of was equally as shocking. The causes of death in these women are breast cancer and stroke. And remember, this is because they are not taking estrogen replacement therapy after hysterectomy. So taking Premarin, which is horse urine estrogen, was better than taking nothing, suggesting very strongly that low hormone levels are just as dangerous as taking synthetic hormones. So again, the importance of balance is very clear here. So it's very reasonable to think that it's quite possible that my new client's bioidentical hormones are actually protecting her and that her risk of cancer is due to something else. So how do we approach hormone replacement therapy safely and use them for prevention of disease? First is to know if they're necessary at all. In other words, measure their levels. How should we do this? Many doctors use blood work, but that may not be the safest option. Since hormones don't function in the bloodstream, it doesn't really make sense to use levels in the bloodstream to dose and monitor levels. There are studies to suggest it's not safe to use blood work in all cases. So I use cellular levels because hormones work in the cells. So it just makes sense that levels should be measured there. How do we do this? Well, we're getting ready for our next commercial break, and that's what we'll discuss when we come back. So please give us a call. We'd love to answer any questions and hear your comments. Give us a call at area code 833-220-1200. Again, that's 833-220-1200. Thanks for listening to Awaken Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD, here on Dream Vision 7 Radio, the media partner for the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. We'll be right back.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time with live shows on the first and third mornings when you can call in and ask Dr. Milen the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Milen is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Awakened Wellness with Milen Riobe, MD. I'm your host, Dr. Milen. Thank you for joining me today as we discuss hormones and decide if they are friends or foes. So when we left off, we were discussing how to monitor hormone replacement therapy with bioidentical hormones. So we were talking about how there are studies to suggest that it's not safe to use blood work in all cases. So I use cellular levels. And how do we do this? So saliva is emerging as the gold standard for adrenal hormone testing and monitoring, and increasingly for ovarian hormones as well. Thyroid hormone, unfortunately, is different, and there are no cellular-based tests, at least not yet. So what we do is a more comprehensive thyroid panel than what's normally done to get a better idea. But with other hormones, using cellular-based testing is critically important because, again, hormones work inside the cells. They don't work in the bloodstream. Saliva has been studied and shown to be quite comparable to glandular levels where these hormones are made. So we can measure estradiol, estriol, and estrone, 3 forms of estrogen, along with progesterone, DHEA, which is an adrenal hormone, cortisol, also an adrenal hormone, and testosterone, which is both an ovarian and an adrenal hormone. We can measure these with great accuracy using saliva. There are several hormones that cannot be measured this way, again, like thyroid, and also growth hormone, or IGF-1. So we measure differently to get more accurate results using blood work in those cases. We use particular labs who have accurate reference ranges for proper monitoring. There are a lot of saliva labs out there, and you have to use one that has appropriate reference ranges, both on and off hormone replacement therapy. Once we know your preliminary levels, we can make a good estimate of your hormone requirements and provide preliminary doses. Because everyone's metabolism and detoxification differs, repeat levels should be measured at an appropriate time frame to see where you've landed, so to speak. Then we can make adjustments. Once we see good balance, we repeat testing annually and make any needed changes. Using hormones in a vacuum is dangerous. Hormones require a lot of support for proper function. So remember that hormones are blueprints, so they don't actually do any work. So if you were to put a blueprint on a piece of land, nothing would happen, right? You'd have to have the contractor, the equipment, the tools. Inside the body is no different. So you can put a blueprint there all you want.